Webster's second, the big, huge thing you used to see in libraries. My mom's dictionary. That's my Bible.
Similarly, I see that some of your epigrams take the form of like dictionary entries. So for example, on page 5.
Tango, envy. It takes two.
How did you come to that kind of form? Because I see that coming up, and I think I've seen it in the earlier books of epigrams.
Envy is an emotion that is like masturbation. It's everywhere, but it's unacknowledged a lot of the time. And so I like to investigate the qualities of envy or its ubiquitousness. And so you can't have envy just from one person. It takes an object. So there, I'm thinking about envy in two people, and then that song popped into my head. Well, it takes two to tango, and that's how I got to that one.
One last question. 51.
How to tell she's your moral superior? She'll let you know it.
What's the story behind that one?
A friend of mine was telling me that there are two kinds of people in the world, and I said to him, "Oh, what is that?" And he said, people who are generous and people who aren't. And I realized he was including himself in the category of the generous, and that I wouldn't have come to that conclusion so quickly. So that was kind of bombulating around my wicked brain. And then I just tweaked it, and changed gender, just, for the heck of it. And then went to moral superior because that's kind of what I felt was being said. Yeah.
Now, this is more than an epigram on page 23. Young biologist, just married, and suddenly avid library researcher.
Yeah.
Female chimpanzees, he's learning, vocalize before and during penetration. Evolutionary advantage in screams and grunts, stimulating partners, blurring paternity to gain multiple protectors, allowing competing sperm access. So, young biologist, library, copulation calls. At home the night before, finally achieving orgasm by penetration, his bride had cried out, "I'm coming! Everybody, I'm coming!"
Really what I'm thinking about is, all the stuff that's in people's heads when they're making love. And often there are other people in people's heads.
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
And there would be an epigram from this. I was once making love with a woman, and there was part of me that was backing off from the experience. I have to recognize this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to recognize this. I had a defense going on to not participate with her while we were in the act of making love.
Yes.
And a thought crossed my mind. I forget what it was, but it was a thought. And right there, in that moment, I thought, God, this thought is really important.
Yeah.
This is the most important thought I've had in my life, and it's happening right now. And because I had to focus completely on that thought, but that was my way of getting away from her.
And you lost the thought.
I don't know what the thought was.
Tragedy. Tragedy.
I'm searching for that thought.
That's right. The whole rest of your life,
Maybe if I find that woman and have sex with her again, it'll come back to me.
That would be nice. Yeah.
But who is the woman?
You can't.
Oh my God!
No. Lenny. This is not good. And I also want to say, shame on you. In fact, I'd like to turn to the camera and say,
Oh man, this is sad.
Which one is that?
Page 52. Jesus.
This is sad.
Oh no, there's a picture. There's a whole novel right there. Can I read it?
Please, please.
Upscale restaurant, celebrating her birthday, dining alone, a party of one.
Mm.
That's lovely because it's so evocative of so much.
And of course it all comes from that phrase, when you go to a restaurant, yes, it's a party of two, a party of three, and they say a party of one.
Yeah.
And of course, a party of one never sounds like a party, does it?
I want to give her a hug.
I'm a scientist.
I thought you were a mathematician.
Well, yes. Mathematics is part of science.
I see.
And
I didn't get that far in school.
So in science, for example, in physics, we know that all matter consists of atoms.
Yeah.
So, and as a scientist, you would like to go to and find the smallest building blocks of the universe. So you have atoms, and then you ask, what does atom consist of? And it turns out that there is nucleus and then there are electrons spinning around. So for me, I approach literature subconsciously, I guess, in a similar way. So I'm wondering, what is the indivisible particle of literature, of writing? And for me, an epigram is such an atom,
Right.
like in physics. And a good epigram for me is something which you cannot further divide. You cannot break it into smaller pieces. So is
It's
that
true.
something that...
I would like to say no, after all of that buildup. But, well, actually, there are these people called language poets. This guy, Aram Soroyan, wrote a one-word poem, L-I-G-H-G-H-T, light, L-I-G-H-G-H-T. That was his whole poem. And he showed it to his father, the great novelist William Soroyan, and who was not impressed. But, so if we go past the one-word language poetry kind of stuff, yeah, I think epigram aspires to be a prime number. And you know what a prime number is.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you tell us? I'm here to see if you really deserve tenure. Yeah, but a prime number, in my high school understanding, is something that's not divisible by anything else.
That's right, except one in itself.
Yeah, and one's not a number, we know.
Well, that's another story.
That is another story.
Which we could discuss.
Yeah, but okay, so the epigram aspires to be irreducible.
Right.
And I would say in some of them, I'm sure of it. Like when I get to that epigram, hypochondria, overkill, I feel as though we can't make it much terser than that, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But of course, even the longer ones, some of them, I'm hoping that the sentiment can't be said more succinctly and still take us as deep as it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Truth be told, the first book of your epigrams, which I have read, I think there
Yes.
was another one. There's this epigram, which I thought I invented.
Sex, what puts you in contact with people you might otherwise never know. What you discovered, Edward, was the thought. But I discovered the epigram.
Some of them I resonate with me because of my being a mathematician, like this one.
What's,
I'll let you read it.
oh, jealousy's geometry, no right triangles. Yeah. You can see where my math stops. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what does it mean?
There's always the threat, I think, of being triangulated in love. And that's what we suffer from. That's what it is to be
So
human.
it's never a right triangle.
Oh, no triangle for those in love is ever a right triangle.
A right triangle. Speaking of jealousy, this reminds me of another epigram which I love. Jealousy, requiring proof for something that never happened.
Yeah. That's one of them. Yes, that's true.
How do you explain what is jealousy? You can write, many volumes, as people have.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just go straight to the point. And to me, this is what this epigram does. In one sentence, they essentially said, asking for proof of what never happened.
It's one, of course, it's only one aspect of jealousy because jealousy is often a form of understatement. You see, you're jealous of someone and you don't even know the whole truth, but you're right. You're onto something. Jealousy equals self-knowledge, indicted for hyperbole, guilty of understatement, demanding proof of what never happened. If you know you're capable of betraying someone, then you can project and see and be jealous of what others are doing. Jealousy indicted for hyperbole, guilty of understatement. That is sometimes jealousy actually underestimating what's going on is worse than you think. Think of Tiger Woods' wife right now. She was jealousy of one text message he was delivering, and now it turns out that she was totally underestimating the situation.
Overestimating.
Yeah. And jealousy, demanding proof of what never happened, yes. False modesty, the truest thing about him. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, I like phrases like false modesty, and I just like playing with them and kind of...
False, true, false.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
You can see where I'm coming from again. It's very mathematical.
Where's the mathematics in there?
False and
Oh,
also mathematical logic.
You mean false and true is like at the heart of mathematics?
Yeah, of course.
Oh. I didn't get that far.